Okay, so welcome everybody to the International Graduate Students Pre-Arrival Orientation webinar. My name is Andrew and I'm your host for today. So a few little housekeeping items before we get started. We would like this webinar to be very interactive, so we encourage you to ask questions using the Q&A feature that you'll be find sort of in the control bar. You'll notice there is also a chat feature. So the chat feature, we will be sharing links to you, but we would ask that you use all sort of communication with us and questions through the Q&A. If you have any questions that you maybe don't want to identify yourself as asking, you can always elect to ask the questions anonymously. So today we've got a lot of different panelists. Some are you will see on screen, some are helping behind the scenes. And I think we will get started. So we'll start with some introductions. So once again, my name is Andrew Staples and I'm the Student Success Coach working with International Student Services. And I'd like to invite Francesca to, there she is. Francesca, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, sure. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Francesca, and I'm the coordinator for international grad students.
Great, thank you. And JC?
Hi, everybody. Welcome. So I'm JC, and I'm a second-year PhD student in the Department of Physics and Astronomy. And I'm also one of the co-president of IGSA, the International Graduate Student Association. But I will come back to that later in the presentation.
Okay, great. And behind the scenes, we also have Andrea, Judy, and Kevin, who are staff in the School of Grad Studies. They may or may not make a visual appearance. Yeah, here they go. Give everybody a wave. Yes, hello, everybody. Awesome. And then we also have Sebastian, who's joining us. So he's the executive from the International Graduate Student Association. So as I said, we've got lots of people here to support you today. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about key dates, so pre-departure, things that you need to know before you leave home, information to help you arrive in Hamilton and then get settled. We're going to talk a little bit about registration, about your health and wellness and your health insurance while you're here. We're going to talk about different community resources that are available. And again, this is a very interactive session, so please ask your questions. We will either answer them live throughout, or someone will type the answer to you, or we will answer them at the end. So all of your questions will be answered today. Okay, so next, oh, I already talked about that, so there's the agenda. So next, we're gonna hand it over to JC.
Okay, so just before we get started for the actual webinar, we wanted to let you know that McMaster University has partnered with iSent to design an informational app you can download on your cell phone. So there's a lot of information in there. So we really recommend that you download the app, logging into the app, and just scroll through the different items because there will be a lot of information that is in the webinar, but there's even more in there. So it's really useful to just go on there and kind of browse through it. So if you've accepted your offer to grad studies here, then you should have received an email with all the instructions to download the app as well as logging into the app. So now that I've covered that, I will just send it to Francesca for the key dates.
Hi, so right before going into key dates, I just want to mention that this presentation will be uploaded to the School of Grad Studies website, most likely this afternoon or tomorrow, so you will have access to it and to all the links in it. All right, so moving along, right now registration is open and the deadline is August 27th, so make sure you register by then. And another upcoming deadline is the payment for tuition, and this one is on September 25th. Sometimes students are asking about their first day of class. When is it? This may vary, so please check your program and your course schedule. And an upcoming holiday is September 2nd. So the university is closed on this date. JC, you may continue with pre-departure.
Just before you depart to Canada, there might also be a lot of information that you can find useful on the Edu Canada's website. They cover in there a lot of things such as the currency that we use here, visas and permits, housing, how could you work while you're studying, and also they deal with the culture shock that you will experience. And trust me, you will experience at least a little bit of it. So it's kind of good to just go on that website, read through, and get used to how we do things here. Yeah, so that's worth the read.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what to pack. And remember to pack all your required documents. You can also pack if you need medications, if you use usually medications that you will need within the first few days or within the first few weeks, you may also want to bring that with you with the proper prescription. And toiletries, clothing, shoes. If you're coming from a warm weather country, try to buy your winter clothes here in Canada, because whatever you get to buy abroad may not be suitable for Canadian winters. I'm sure you've heard about them. So the same happens with footwear. If you'd like to bring your electronics and adapters if needed, and just make sure you bring any items that you will need immediately, and anything, you may also want to bring something that reminds you from home. Okay, so what to bring to the airport? Okay, so during this webinar, we won't be talking about immigration. There's another webinar that addresses this, and we'll let you know later what the link is for that one. However, we did want to list some of the things that you may want to bring with you. Of course, your valid passport or travel document, the letter of introduction that the visa office sent to you when they approved your study permit, your letter of acceptance from McMaster University, proof that you have enough funds to support yourself. This may be a letter stating that you have a scholarship or that you have a teaching assistantship, and also any bank account information. Basically anything that you use to prove funds when you applied for your visa and or study permit. And also you may want to bring some letters of reference or any document that you use to apply. In addition to that, you'll either have a valid electronic travel authorization, ETA, or a temporary resident visa. This is going to depend on the country that you're coming from. And if you have a valid ETA, it will be linked to the passport you used to apply for your study permit. Okay, once you're here at MAG, please bring your study permit to the School of Grad Studies at Gilmore Hall 212, and we will make a copy of it. Please make sure you maintain a valid study permit while you're here. Sometimes your study permit will expire during your studies, so make sure you put a note on the date of expiry so you can request an extension before it expires. And you can find a very useful information on how to apply for a study permit, how to renew it, on the McMaster International Student Services website. The Immigration and Mobility Advisor for McMaster has put together some very useful guides for you. And you may also go to the Government of Canada website. There is also very detailed information in the pre-departure webinar that we had a couple of weeks ago, and you will have this link in the presentation. You can access it through the Grad Studies website, probably tonight or tomorrow.
Okay, great. Thanks very much. So we've got a couple of questions. I know our panelists are answering them really quickly, which is amazing. So Francesca, you did mention something about bringing electronics. So we have a student who's asking about the plugs in Canada. They have 2 branches or 3 branches, and if you wanted to.
JC,
do you want to address that?
So it depends. Sometimes they have 3, sometimes they have 2. But they are, so I know when I came here, they were different from Europe. I don't know about the other countries, but I would definitely recommend that you bring an adapter no matter what. So if you go to any store, they usually have adapters from your country to the US. So the one in Canada are the same as in the US. So you'll be able to find one pretty easily. But I do recommend that you bring one, especially for the beginning.
Okay, great. And I know if you go in the Q&A, somebody actually just posted a link to the types of plugs that you need. So that's great. And so another question here, what exactly do we have to do to properly register? So in other words, do we only have to enroll in classes, or are there any other steps that we need to do?
Okay, so that's a very good question, and we will be going over it when we talk about registration.
Okay, perfect. So I think that's all for this section. We will continue on.
Okay, so Francesca told you a lot about what happened when you arrive at Pearson and about immigration and the documentation you need. But once you get through the immigration, you'll be able to take your luggage, and then you'll cross the door and you'll be in Canada. At that point, there will be a team of volunteers that will be here to welcome you from August 1st to September 1st between 11 a.m. and 11 p.m. You can't miss them. They have really bright orange t-shirts. So you'll be able to see them, and they will be able to guide you through the next steps. And even if you know exactly where you're going, I would still recommend that you go to them and introduce yourselves, because you will see them later on campus anyway. So it's a good way to just interact with people, especially if it's a bit overwhelming. Just go to them and talk to them. They will help you.
I would like to mention before moving to the next slide, JC, that I just heard and forgot to mention to you that the team may not be there from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. The hours will vary. So in case the team is not there, you're always encouraged to go to there's going to be a booth there called Destination Ontario, and they will have information that we've provided about McMaster University in case you have any questions.
Okay, and so once you've seen these people went to the booth, then they will probably say exactly what I'm going to say, but I'm still going to say it. So you have several options to get to downtown Hamilton. So the first one, which is the one I would use personally, and it's also the cheapest option, is to take the GO bus, and you need to get onto the route number 40 towards Hamilton GO Center. Don't go the other way, just go to Hamilton GO Center. There's a bus every hour, roughly, and it's about $13. So that's the cheapest option. You can bring your luggage. They will put them in the bus, and you'll be able to pick them up on once you're in Hamilton. So that's one option. The other options are more classic. So you can take an Uber or Lyft. You can take a taxi or limo, and the rate will probably be flat around $120 just to go downtown. There's also Airways Transit, which is around $80. And usually what happens is you share a van with other people. But in that case, there might be some delay between the time you want to leave and the time that the van is actually full of people and you can go. So, but it's a little bit cheaper too. And I also know that the Grad Student Association, GSA, will be offering some transportation arrangement. And there's a link on the slide that you should follow if you want more information about that. And so now you're technically in Hamilton because you took the GO bus. Once you get here, you can ride the bus for free because it's included in our fees, and we get a really good discount. So you can ride all the HSR buses, the one you see on the slide. You can ride them for free. So the only thing you need to do is you pick up your student card, and once you have your student card, you need to go to the campus store to pick up your Presto card. That's the green card on the slide. And then the only thing you have to do is to tap it on when you get on the bus, and you can just ride it for free. You can also use that card to go outside of the city. So say you want to go to Toronto, for example, you can also use that card, but you need to preload money on it because it's not included in our fees. So you can load money on it and then just use it and tap it on and off the bus to go to Toronto or somewhere else.
Okay, so moving on to housing. If you haven't secured housing yet, you may want to take a look at the housing webinar that was put together by the International Student Services team. It has detailed information about finding housing off campus and what you should be taking into account when searching for housing. It includes common practices, lease agreements, Residential Tenancies Act, and much more. Please note that there is no on-campus graduate student housing, so you will have to look off-campus. And here we have included a couple of online classifieds. The Mac off-campus, a McMaster.ca website is an official McMaster website. The other ones are not, but sometimes students find housing through there. So you may just want to take a look at the webinar to know what to look out for, and you may want to use these. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about working in Canada. Many students are showing interest in working in Canada while they're studying. So our immigration and mobility advisor has put together some information for you, and that's included in the ISS website and also in the pre-departure webinar. So you may want to take a look at that so that you know how many hours you're allowed to work while you're studying full-time and how many hours you're allowed to work during the summers. The most important thing if you're thinking about working is that you need to get a social insurance number. And you will need it also if you're working as a teaching assistant at the university. So you want to get this early on. There's no fee to apply, and you need to bring your passport and your study permit when you go to apply for it, and they usually give it to you within a couple of minutes. Some places where you can get your SIN is on campus. It's organized by the ISS team, and you can book it through Oscar Plus. They're not here. They're here only a couple of times a year, so not every day. So you need to see when is it that they're going to be here. You can also, if you get in early at Pearson Airport, you may be able also to get your SIN there, and in Hamilton City Halls on Fridays. And there are also Service Canada locations. You can look them up, and you can go here in Hamilton. Okay, getting paid. Okay, so this is especially important for students that will be receiving scholarships and that will be teaching assistants. Your payment will be deposited directly into your bank account after you have enrolled in direct deposit. And you may be receiving two different types of payment, scholarship and TA. And if this is the case, you need to enroll in two different places. So if you're receiving a scholarship, you need to enroll in direct deposit, putting in your account information through Mosaic, through the Student Center. That's our online portal. And if you are having a TA, then you need to fill out a paper form and take it to Human Resources Services here on campus. There is a link on how to enroll in direct deposit, and it walks you through it. And some of the questions that we've been getting from future TAs and from students that will be receiving scholarships is, when will they receive their first payment? You will receive your first payment on September 13th, 2019. So if your bank account is not yet active in the system, you may pick up the check for your scholarship here at the School of Grad Studies at Gilmore Hall 212. And your TA check, you may go pick this up at Human Resources Service. So it's two different places. Okay, so can you go back, Andrew? Okay, so there's a package, a payment information package that was put together by the School of Graduate Studies. It has all the information that you will need about pay schedules, understanding your funding, and steps to getting paid. And where you should go if in case you have questions. So please take a look at this package, and the link will be sent through the chat box. And if you need more information, you can also go to some of the student accounts and working at McMaster websites.
So Francesca mentioned briefly about getting the money. If you need to set up your bank account in order to get the money for a scholarship and the TA money. So that's obviously something you will want to do fairly quickly so that you can have your income coming in. We would recommend that you do that extremely early, like one of the first things you will do. So we've listed here 5 banks on the slide. Just please know that we don't endorse any one bank. We just wanted you to have a couple links you can click onto and just go on their website, just a couple names, because I had no idea, for example, what the banks were. So just knowing what they are, you can go on their website and check what the different offers are. Just so you know, the banks are regulated in Canada, so they all follow the same financial rules. The offers are going to be very similar, so it really depends on your preference. Which bank do you want to go to because it's close to home, close to university, or maybe they have a better offer at that time in year. So it's really up to you to decide. So just go on their website and choose which one you want to go with. The other thing that you may want to do is to get a Canadian cell phone, because it's a little bit easier if you have Canadian phone number for people to reach out to you or for you to reach out to them. Just so you know, it's expensive to have a cell phone in Canada, especially compared to other countries. It's more expensive here, so it's just, you have to know it. To set up your cell phone, you may require a credit card. And if you don't have a credit card, sometimes what they do is they ask for a deposit that they will just give back to you after 6 months. So it really depends on the cell phone provider and everything. So you'll have to check with them. Again, we've listed a couple providers at the bottom of the slide here. We don't endorse one of them. And usually there's a balance between having a really good service. So Bell and Rogers are the two main providers here, and they usually have good service, but it's expensive. And the other ones are usually a little bit cheaper, but they don't have the same service as the other ones. So it's a balance. You'll have to decide what you want most, service or paying a higher price. So maybe you've understood by now that moving to Canada will be expensive. There's a lot of startup costs that you'll have to pay. So we've included here a website that's called Expatisten, and it's really accurate for giving you an idea of how much you're going to spend on different things over the month. So we really recommend that you go on that website so that you'll have an idea of how much money it's going to cost every month or something like that. And also there's the payment schedule that you can check. Francesca mentioned it already. That kind of tells you when the money will get in. I saw in the Q&A, there was a question about, do we get money bi-monthly or monthly? It really depends. The scholarship, you get the money, everything at the beginning of the term. And your TA money will come every 2 weeks, but you don't get paid if you don't TA. So there's a lot that you need to figure out, and the payment schedule is really good for that. And just a couple tips before I handle that part. Groceries are definitely some of the expensive part of living in Canada. So a couple tips here. If you go on Tuesdays to Fortino's or Food Basics, you get 10% discount. So it's worth just doing groceries on Tuesdays. On Wednesdays, you get 15% discount at Bug Barn. On Thursdays, you get 20% discount at the Drug Mart that is just across campus. So that's just that one location. But if you go there on Thursday, then you get 20% off. Make sure you bring a student ID every time to those stores, otherwise you won't be eligible for the savings. And then there are a couple other options. So if you want cheap produce, there is a store on 60 Ewen Road that has really good produce, and they're fairly cheap, but they only take cash. So just make sure you bring cash with you. And now, so those options are for people that live closer to university, but if you live downtown Hamilton, there are other options too. There is the farmers market, which has really nice produce. It's a little bit more expensive, but the produce are really nice. And there's also an international grocery store that is called Nations downtown, and you can find anything there. So if you're really looking for specific items that you had from home, it's definitely worth checking out over there. They probably have it.
All right.
Great. So we do have a couple of questions that I just wanted to maybe talk about aloud. So is TA compulsory for every graduate student?
Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, Francesca, but I don't think it's compulsory. It depends on your program, and they will offer the TA, and that's part of your funding. But I don't think it's compulsory to TA.
Exactly. It will depend on your program. Mm-hmm.
Great. And is it possible to TA in their first term?
I think it also, again, it depends on your program, what they want you to do. I know I TA'd right away, but it might be some program that won't let you TA the first one. I think, again, that depends on program.
Yes, it's a question specifically for the program.
Okay, perfect. Great. Thank you. So next, I believe Francesca is going to talk about registration.
Yes. Okay, so we'll be using the word registration and enrollment, these two words interchangeably. They mean the same thing in this presentation. And we have all the details that you need in this link, in the enrollment link. You'll find all the details that you need to take you step by step throughout the process of enrollment. Please make sure to register on time. There are 3 terms in an academic year: fall, winter, and summer. To be considered fully enrolled, you need to register for all 3 terms. So this means that you need to enroll courses for all 3 terms now. And if you're not taking an academic course in one of these terms, then you must enroll in a placeholder course. Okay, so this slide, it's basically, it's all about the links. There's a lot of information in these links that are very important for you. JC mentioned before when he was talking about the bus pass, that this is included in your supplementary fees. This is part of the essential fees. It's good for you to go to these links and understand what is considered a supplementary essential fee and a non-essential fee. And then you can also read some information on the Student Choice Initiative, and there's also information on dates and deadlines. Okay, so when talking about paying tuition, what we've heard is that bank transfers are the most convenient and secure method. So this is usually what's recommended. All the information that you need for this, you will find in the website for student accounts. And there's also the payment information package for September 2019, which contains a lot of this information. So most of the questions that you're gonna have about this will be answered throughout that document. So we encourage you to take a look at it. And make sure you check your tuition and fee amount on your student account. You will not be receiving a bill, not by mail, not by email or an invoice. You have access to this through your student account. So make sure you take a look at this and you pay your tuition on time by September 25th. Once enrolled, you have several ways to check your financial account information, and we've detailed in this slide what the steps are, and you will also find that information in the student's account website. Conditions clearing. Okay, so what this means is in your offer letter, you may have a condition that you need to clear as soon as you get to McMaster. And this may be that you still need to give us to submit your English test scores, or it may be that you still need to submit your final transcripts or your prove your certificate of graduation from your undergrad. So please make sure you review your offer letter, and if you still need to clear some conditions, be in close contact with your program office, because they're the ones that are going to be in contact with the School of Graduate Studies to clear this, and there are firm deadlines for conditions clearing and for requesting an extension, and this is early in September, so please do not risk your offer being rescinded.
Okay, great. So there are a lot of quite specific questions about course registration, so I'm going to let the behind the scenes panelists answer some of those. But one question, if I'm on a waiting list for a course, is it possible to enroll in them after the registration deadline?
I don't have the answer for that. Maybe the panelists can look into it.
Okay, sure, no problem.
I don't know if you have the answer for it, JC?
No, I've never been on, like the classes I was taking are pretty small, so I was not on.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, then we'll let the panelists answer that one. Another question in terms of tuition. So when they log into Mosaic, they see a negative balance. What do negative balances mean?
Okay, so unless the panelists have an answer for this, I would definitely, for any questions related to tuition, it would be directly with student accounts.
Okay, sure. So my understanding is that anything that's a negative balance is money that's a credit to your account, and anything that's a positive balance is money owing. But again, you double check with student.
Okay.
Okay, so we will move on. I believe JC is, oh no, sorry. Oh, okay.
Okay, so now let's move on to health and wellness. Okay, so all students will have the university health insurance, which is called UHIP, and this is mandatory for all international students. This covers emergency medical care and physician's visits. You will be automatically enrolled, and charges will be added to your student account. So you will see these charges as UHIP. You must enroll your accompanying dependents, spouse, and or children into UHIP into the UHIP plan if they are residing in Ontario with you, and they can only be added to UHIP once they're here in Ontario. You are required to enroll your dependents into the plan within the first 30 days of arrival in Ontario. So again, this is not automatic. You have to come in with the information and enroll them. And if they're enrolled after the first 30 days, you will be charged a $500 late fee in addition to the UHIP charge from the date of the dependent's arrival in Canada. So please make sure you put a note to yourself, and if you have any dependents coming with you, you do this within the first 30 days. Okay, so we have a little bit more information on UHIP. To add dependents to the plan, you can either book an appointment with the UHIP representative, Anna Pereira, via Oscar Plus, or visit the Student Success Center in Gilmore Hall, room 110. It's right beneath the School of Grad Studies, and they have drop-ins on Wednesdays from 1:30 to 4, and that's for drop-in hours. There's no appointment needed. Again, if you would like to make an appointment, you can do it through Oscar Plus. You need to bring your student number, your dependent's passport photo page, and the flight itinerary so that they have proof of when your dependent arrived in Canada. So the coverage period for UHIP in any given year is from September 1 to August 31st. So all students are automatically charged for 12 months of coverage. And it is effective the 10th day of the month before the academic terms begins, or the day of arrival in Canada, whichever is later. So for example, if you arrive August 10th, you will be covered. If you arrive August 1st, you will not be covered for the days between August 1st and August 9th, because it starts on the 10th. So you may want to look into other types of coverage, maybe travel insurance for those first 9 days. Okay, so as of now, the amount for 12 months of coverage for a single person is 636 Canadian dollars. And if you add one dependent, it's 1,272 for the student plus the dependent, and then 1,908 for the student plus 2 or more dependents. But you can always check this confirm this once you enroll your dependents. There are some exceptions for exchange students.
So a couple of questions about UHIP. So will you be receiving a physical card for UHIP?
Okay, so this is in one of the next slides.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. We have a couple of slides on UHIP still. Okay, so you will receive, that was timely. You will receive an email from Sun Life Financial in your McMaster email with your UHIP card attached. Please make sure your McMaster email is active, because this email won't forward, it won't be forwarded. If you have a forward to your personal email, for instance, if it is active but you have a forward, you won't receive it. It will only come to your Mac email, so make sure it is active. You need to print this UHIP card and carry it with you at all times in case you need medical attention. There are some exceptions to UHIP. There's a list of pre-approved plans, and these are the only plans that allow members to be exempted from UHIP. Please take a look at the UHIP website, which we have included in the next bullet, just to make sure that you're exempt or not. And if you have any questions, make sure you contact Anna Pereira, the UHIP representative.
Okay, so
I'll tell you a little bit about this.
So Francesca gave you a lot of information on UHIP, but there was one question I would always wonder when I first came to Canada is, okay, so I have UHIP, but what do I do if I get sick? So the first thing is, if it's an emergency, you need to call 911 or you get yourself to an hospital somehow just to get emergency care. If it's a non-emergency illness, then your best bet is to make an appointment at the Student Wellness Center here on campus. So it's a center where the doctors are, you can make an appointment with them. It's really easy and convenient, and they know everything about UHIP. So it's gonna be super easy. Everything will be very smooth. If it's an after-hour illness, so a non-emergency, then you can go to a walk-in clinic. In that case, you may be required to pay up front and then get reimbursed by UHIP, because sometimes they don't know exactly how UHIP works for international. So they may require you to pay first. But all of that will be covered by UHIP. And the only thing is, if you're not sure if it's covered or not, you should definitely contact the representative at ISS here. And the other thing I didn't know when I came here is that if you need a specialized care, say you want to see a sport doctor, or you need more than just a regular physician, then you will first need to see your regular physician, and they will recommend you to somebody else after. We just discussed what UHIP was covering. So it covers the emergency, if you go to the hospital, the blood work, and also just the doctor's visits. But you also have, depending on which status you have, you may also have extra coverage for things like vision, dental, or prescription medication, because those ones are not covered by UHIP. So if you're a grad student here, then you have coverage through either GSA or QP. So for prescription drugs and vision, it will be through GSA, and the difference between being a TA and not a TA will be dental. So if you're not a TA, the GSA will cover your dental plan. If you are a TA, then QP will cover your dental plan. And the plans are slightly different, and I don't know exactly what the difference is, so you should definitely look into the website just to see how they're different. And if you're a TA, you'll be opt out of the GSA, so you don't pay for the dental, so you don't pay twice. If you are an MBA or a MELD student, then your coverage won't be through GSA, will be through MSU Health and Wellness. But that I don't know what the plans are. And also, just it's important to note that if you're an exchange student, then you're not eligible for those plans, so you won't be covered for that during your exchange here.
Great. So we did have a couple of questions. So one, how far are the hospitals or clinics from McMaster University? Did anyone, JC, did you, or I can talk about it?
Yeah, you know better.
Okay, sure. So on campus, we do have a student wellness center that was talked about before. So that's really probably your best first stop if you're in a sort of a non-emergency situation. That is located right on campus. If it's something a bit more urgent, there is what we call an urgent care center, maybe a 5 to 10 minute bus ride from us, so sort of between McMaster and downtown. And then the closest hospital, if it was a true emergency, would be located downtown. So again, you're looking at maybe a 10-15 minute bus ride. So things are quite close. And then there was another question that maybe I'll answer, which was about if health insurance is just for international students, or if Canadians are required to register for it as well. So UHIP sort of mimics what Canadians pay taxes for, which we call OHIP, the Ontario Health Insurance Plan. So that's something that every Ontario resident, we are paying through our taxes to have coverage. And then supplementary coverage such as the GSA plan, so for dental or extended care, that's something that all students do pay into. Okay, so I think we will keep it going and talk a little bit about the community resources.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to give you an overview of everything that is available on campus, try to guide you through that. So there's a lot of information, so don't ask questions if I'm not clear at all. So the first people that you will interact with, and especially on a daily basis, will be your department. So the secretaries, your supervisor, the lab managers. Make sure you introduce yourself to these people. And I've always found, especially in my department, that the secretaries know everything about everything. So you should really introduce yourselves to them so that they will be helpful to help you a lot. And I rely a lot on them. So just make sure you introduce yourself, say who you are, so that that's going to be easier to interact with later. So then there is the School of Graduate Studies, which Francesca is part of. So do you want to say something about it, or?
Sure. Okay, so you'll have the School of Grad Studies. You'll be in contact with us as soon as you get here you need to bring your study permit so we can make a copy. So, and you'll probably have questions. So we're here for you. You can come into Gilmore Hall 212 and we'll help you with any of your questions. And throughout your experience here also at Mac, you may have some questions related to, later on to PhD defenses, and also basically anything you need. You can come to us. There are some things, just as JC mentioned, the first contact will always be your program because some things are very specific to each program and department. So if they don't have the answer, then please feel free to come to us.
Okay, thank you. And then, so on the student side, there is the Graduate Student Association. So it's an association that is run by students, and they run everything for the students. So they do a lot of things. So there's the health and dental coverage that we've talked about. They have sport leagues. There's a restaurant on campus that is run by GSA. So it's a really nice place to go and relax sometimes. There's a lot of things. They do a lot of events. So again, you will meet them on events. They're usually here during the Welcome Week event as well. So you will interact with those people. So it's nice to know who they are so that you can refer to them a little bit. And then if you're a TA or RA, then QP 3906 will be your labor union. So they protect you under the collective agreement, and they provide dental plan, advocacy. There's an international officer there as well. So again, if you're a TA, you will interact with them at some point in your life here. So the other entity on campus will be the International Student Services that Andrew is part of. So Andrew, do you want to say something about that?
Sure. So we are located just below the Grad Studies office in Gilmore Hall 110. And here we've got myself, so I'm the Student Success Coach. So I'm really here to help you through your transition. You can book appointments with me. We can meet one-on-one. So if you're having really any questions or concerns and you're not too sure who to turn to, you're welcome to come and meet with me, and I can help connect you with the proper resources. We also have an immigration and mobility advisor. So if you have any questions at all about your study permit, renewing your study permit, can you work, how much can you work, and any questions related to your status while you're in Canada, we do have a designated person that is certified to help you through all of that. She can also help if you have questions about, inviting family over to visit or things like that. So her name is Letife. She's probably the most popular person on campus for international students, and you'll probably meet her at some point while you are here. And then we also have Anna Pereira, who is responsible for administering the UHIP plan, and she also does lots of different events. And so I know there was reference previously about Oscar Plus, and so you can go on Oscar Plus and see some of the events that Thank you.
All right, thank you. And so now we're going to move on to the grad student groups. So there are several groups that you can join. So there's the International Graduate Student Association, IGSA, that I'm one of the co-president, and Sebastian, one of the person that is helping everybody in the Q&R as well, is the other co-president. So we try to do two things. So we run social events, because we think it's important that you meet other international students and have fun with them as well. And we also try to have more informational sessions. For example, every year we try to run a seminar about immigration and how we invite a lawyer, and she'll tell you about how to get PR and the different ways you can get permanent residency here in Canada. So we try to do both have fun and be a bit more serious sometimes. So yeah. We have a lot of events, so if you want to come, you're always welcome. Then if you're part of engineering, there is another association. It's called EGS, the Engineering Grad Students. So they also run a lot of events. I don't know much about it because I'm not in engineering, but I know they run a lot of events and everything, so you should definitely check out their website. Then if you're part of science, there is the Science Grad Student Association. Sebastian is part of that as well. And again, they do a lot of events. They also have workshops and everything. So their website is linked here. So you should definitely go and check it out. And then the African Caribbean Grad Student Association is also one of the other grad student association that you may want to look into because they, again, a lot of events throughout the year. So there's a lot of things you can do here. And off campus, there is one association that is worth mentioning here, is the Global Hamilton Connect. So it's in part run by the city of Hamilton. And they also do things like the inviting lawyers for immigration and things like that. So if you go on their Facebook page, they have a lot of the different activities they have. So you've seen there's a lot going on campus here. There's a lot of associations. So it's good because you can join social events and informational sessions as well. But you also can get involved if you want some leadership experience. So if you're interested into helping your community, getting involved, then it's definitely worth reaching out to those people, and they'll be able to tell you if they need more. And we always need more people to help. So it's worth asking.
Okay, so if you're coming with family, if you have any children, you may want to join the Grad Parent Network. They have a Facebook group and they put together activities throughout the year, and they also have a lot of information on play dates and services and activities for children during the winter, during the summer. So they would be able to answer a lot of the questions that you may have. So you may want to join them. The link is in this slide and their contact information. Now, I also want to mention, if you have children that you're registering in school and you have any questions, please feel free to contact me because I can walk you through that process for school registration.
Okay, so now it's that slide is more for the people that will be doing research and interacting with a faculty supervisor during their experience here. So you'll be really likely to work with that person anywhere between 1 and 6 years. So it's a really good idea to start things off right. So grad studies have created a really useful document, and that resource is linked on the slide here. And that document will help you understand the expectation of that relationship with your supervisor. So we really recommend that you review that document, because that will so that you'll be aware of your rights and responsibility as a grad student, but also the rights and the responsibilities of your supervisor and your department. So it's a very useful link. I really recommend you read it.
Model. If English is not your first language and you feel that you may need a little help with your writing, your reading, conversation, please feel free to go to Model, contact them, and take a look at what they have for you. It's a free service offered by the university, and they have usually conversation groups, workshops, and a lot of support for English as a second language learners.
Okay, so we're getting close to the end of the presentation now. So I'll just try to get you a little bit excited about what will be coming in the next year, and especially in the months of September. So September, there's a lot of events because it's the beginning of the year. Everybody is really excited. So the School of Grad Studies organizes events through the year, but as I said, especially in the months of September, because it's the welcome week events that we call them that way. And so we think that events are a great way for you to meet other grad students and make new friends, obviously, but also to meet people from the GSA, the staff from grad studies. So if you want to meet Francesca as a real person, for example, she'll probably be there. I will be there as well. The International Grad Student Association will be there as well. So, and if you have questions that you don't feel like asking in the Q&A, for example, or don't send an email and you just want a contact with somebody, just come to those events. We'll be helpful to help you there. I also know that the International Student Services Office organizes events, and Andrew said that you should go on the Oscar Plus website just to see what are the different events. But I think they also have a Facebook page where they advertise all their events as well. And so more specifically for Welcome Week, we'll have several events, and we've tried to list them here. So there will be a resource fair, there will be a new graduate student welcome, and there's a club fest. So Francesca, tell me if I'm wrong, but I think the club fest will be all the organization and groups will be there with a table, and they will try to tell you what they do and what kind of events they run, convince you to
Yes.
join them because they need more people to help. So that's a good way to know what's going on campus. There'll also be a scavenger hunt. There's an international graduate student board game night. We ran that event last year. It was really successful and really fun. So please come to that event. I mean, all of them, but that one was really fun. And there's also a teaching and learning forum from the McPherson office. So I remember going to that forum the first year I was here because I was kind of worried about being a TA in a Canadian classroom because I knew it would be different. So I went to that forum and that was really helpful for me just to, you know, get used to how it works in a Canadian classroom. So if you're worried about that, go to that event. That will help you definitely.
JC, I just want to mention that the Teaching and Learning Forum, they'll have it, students will be able to look at that information, they'll get it, so that they can register. I think it runs for a morning, so it's very useful, and it's not only for teaching assistants. Like if you're thinking of maybe becoming interested in teaching in the future, you may also attend. And just like JC mentioned, they also offer the Canadian classroom, teaching in a Canadian classroom workshop, the McPherson Institute, and they will be offering 2 sessions this year, so in August and September. So make sure you take a look at those emails when you get that information and you register.
Okay, great. So thank you everybody for attending today. We know there's been lots of different questions, which is awesome. So actually coming up in a couple of days, we've got JC will be back and we're doing a student panel Q&A. So if you have questions about, you know, what it's like to be a student and you want to know maybe JC's favorite restaurant or what his experience has been like transitioning to Canada, I would recommend that you register for this webinar coming up on August 1st. Would like to thank everybody for joining us today. Especially thank you to everybody who contributed, everyone who's very frantically trying to answer all these questions behind the scenes. And as well, thank you very much to JC and Francesca for sharing so much great information. So we will stick around to answer the remaining questions that are here. And again, thanks everybody for joining us today. And you can always contact School of Grad Studies at askgrad@mcmaster.ca or the International Graduate Student Association at igsa@mcmaster.ca if you do have any other questions before you arrive. And we look forward to meeting you in August and September.